First off, for the regulars of the channel, I know I promised a DDJ 400 mix this week and I was all set and I was ready to go. But in truth, I asked Pioneer to ship out a DDJ 400 a couple of weeks ago for this, and they said, right, well, they said it'd be here in time, but they've just told me this week that the shipment got delayed and they've promised me that I'll have it next week. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, as next Monday, I'm gonna replicate how you'd play a club set on a DDJ 400. And after that, I have some really cool videos coming up that will give you the inspiration you need to get off the couch and make 2021 a year to remember. Now, in the meantime, okay, I just had this idea. I was sitting around and it just came to me and I thought, okay, Valentine's Day is coming up, and whether or not you're into it or not, this is still going to be a cool video. And I wanted to share with you an idea on how to impress someone you love or someone you're interested in from a DJ's perspective. So when I grew up, right, one of the most romantic things you could do for someone is to make a mixtape especially for them with, you know, perhaps all their favorite tracks or tracks that you think they'd enjoy. And I'm suggesting that you should make a mixtape and showcase your skills for someone that you care about. Now, personally, I did this, right, like once, like many, well, I've done it a few times, but I did it mainly, right, once, like many years back. And this girl, she's blown away, right? And I included tracks that I knew she loved, and the gesture alone meant so much to her. And now I'm still with that same girl 12 years later. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about how to find the perfect tracks and then how to record it and then how to share it. And even if you don't have someone to do this for, the steps in recording a mix and sharing alone make this video actually well worth watching, as realistically, all DJs should know how to make and release a really cool mix. But sometimes the most powerful mixes, I personally feel, are the mixes made with an intention. And what better intention than to make a mix for someone that you love and someone that you care about. Now, if you don't believe me, right, see for yourself. Like I was thinking about that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, right, and that Star-Lord, right? Like, you know, he always listened to that mix, and someone made it for him. I think it was his mum or something, and he just listened to that all the time. And what you could do, you could approach it like that and include a range of genres, classics. And when you think about it, this could be a really good experience, and every time that person's listened to it, like Star-Lord, right, they'll be thinking of you and how great you are. So it really is win-win. Okay, so first things first, what music are you going to include? So here's the thing, if you just make a mix and post it to SoundCloud or Mixcloud, copyright is not going to be an issue. So you can play anything and then post a link. So honestly, music choice is infinite. Now, personally, I would suggest including tracks that you have shared moments to, or tracks that you know they love. And then the fun thing is arranging them so they hopefully tell a story. For instance, you could start with the first song, maybe when you met, or, you know, if the first song you both like actually loved, or her favorite song, whatever, keep it going. And maybe end with your favorite song, or even include tracks that remind you of that person. Now, I understand this may mean crossing genres, and my advice here is not everything has to be beat matched. Track selection is by far the most important thing. And if you do a few fade outs, right, maybe add some echo, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Now, once you have the tracks, my advice would be to play it through and practice your transitions, and once you're done, right, record yourself and then listen back and find ways to improve it. Now, I spoke about 5 ways to prepare a perfect playlist a few weeks ago, so I'll link that video in now. But in this video, once you have your goals for the mix, I want to talk more about like the recording process. For instance, what will you use to record your set, how to get your levels right, and after that, how to share it in an original way. So firstly, okay, how do you record your set? Now, this is usually going to come down to what DJ gear you have or what software you're connecting the gear to. So firstly, if you have a DJ controller, you should be able to record directly to your DJ software. Okay, there should be a real record tab at the top, hit that, it'll be basic. However, if you're using Rekordbox and have the latest version, they're going to make you sign up to one of their paid subscription plans to use the recording feature. So if you are using Rekordbox and you wish to record using the Rekordbox software for free, I suggest that you download the earlier version of Rekordbox, like Rekordbox 5. And to do this, just go to rekordbox.com, hit download, and then scroll to the bottom of the page and select the download version 5 button. Okay. Now, once done, you can just find the recording button on your software, like I said, probably in the menu bar, hit record, and once done, it should save the file to a file in your software. Like, it really is basic. No matter what software you've got, they all operate the same way. However, another way would be, like, this would bypass the rekordbox 6 issue, and that is to record using different software and an audio interface. So for instance, when recording from Club Gear, and the same would go for most controllers, I can hook up an audio interface to the master output in the back of the mixer or on the back of the controller. And basically there may even be a recording output as well. And what I do is I connect this to the controller, or I'll talk about that more in a second, to my computer, and then I have to use DJ software. Now, if I'm using a Mac, I would suggest using Garageband, as it's free and easy to use. And if you're using PC, I'd suggest Audacity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through and talk about that in a second. So exactly how to do that, get your levels right. But firstly, the audio interface I use is pretty cheap, right? It's like under 50 bucks. It's pretty straightforward, and it's called the Behringer UCA 222, and it works with both Mac and PC. So just with connecting it quickly, and then I'll go into the settings of Audacity and GarageBand quickly, and just how to get it and then share it. And I've got, stick around, I've got some cool stuff at the end too. But what happens is, generally, let's say I'm on a Club Gear here, okay, at the back here, on the better mixers, I probably have two outputs that I can use. So I can definitely run it from a master output. So run this from the master output into the input here, and then into my computer, okay, with the USB. Or ideally, okay, they might actually have a recording output. And on this one, I've got a recording output. And if I run that through the recording output, I can control the levels with my trims, okay? And I can just adjust the master as I go, and it's not going to affect the loudness of the mix. But if you don't, I like that. I always go through the recording output. But if you don't have the recording output, well then basically it's running through the master, which means then you've got to watch your master levels here. Definitely make sure they're not redlining to keep it a bit below the reds, but you don't want to really be adjusting that too much, okay? So yeah, so it's like, oh, let's say you're getting into it, you're turning it up, you're going to hear that on the mix. Okay, but then on most controllers, see, here's the thing. You probably don't have the recording output, but you may have two master outputs. So say on the more expensive stuff, you probably got a master output with the XLRs that actually run to your speakers ideally. And then you've got the master output as well with the RCAs, okay? And this connects to RCA. So what I'd do is I'd run my speakers to the XLRs, put this in the other master output, and then connect it to my computer. But let's say you've only got one master output, like on the DDJ 400s. What you can do is you could run this into that master output in the DDJ 400, connect the other side to the input here, and then I've got an output here, and I could actually then put my speaker into there, and you'll still hear everything as normal. And then you connect this, so mess around with it. But this here, I've actually had this for well over 5 years. I bought it, like I use it a lot actually. And to be honest, it cost me $50 like Australian, right? And you know, that's gonna be less for you guys. So I'll link that in below. But this here, I know people have bought more expensive ones, and this is solid, man. I've actually really liked it. So now that we've talked about that, I'll jump into some footage I've got where I talk about actually how to use Audacity and GarageBand. Let's do it, okay? Simply open up GarageBand, select New Project, then select Empty Project. And then select Record using a microphone or line input. I also make sure that the audio interface is connected. I can see that here. My instrument is connected with the USB audio codec. And then when I'm ready, simply hit Create. Okay, now it's ready to record. So when you're ready, you just hit the red record button and hit play on your song. Okay, now the song's playing, and then you just want to make sure that actually looks good, that waveform. But if you wanted to turn it up or down, you've got to be careful. Like say the trim, if I turn that up, if the waveform touches the edges, that's going to mean it comes out and it records and it distorts. So when recording, you want to make sure that the trim is down, nowhere near the reds. Probably there's some numbers next on the signal, next to the EQ here. You just take it so it's hitting about number 6. So it's just taking the edge off, and that's probably a great place to actually record. Okay, excellent. So then, when I finish recording my mix, I stop on the CDJs, hit stop on the program, and then to export it, I hit share. and then you go down to export song to disk, and then you just decide where you want to save it to on your computer. So I'll save it to my music, I can give it a name, test, and then I can choose what format to save it in. So let's say MP3, maybe just high quality, just so it's not too big, and then when I'm ready I just hit export. If you have a PC, a popular program used to record is Audacity. Simply download Audacity, and then to make it communicate with the audio interface, make sure that you go in here and you select the USB audio codec, that's what it's called, and over here the output is also the USB codec. Then when I'm ready to record, I simply hit the button to record and then hit play on my decks. Okay, and then it starts recording. Again, you want to watch your levels, so you just make sure that the trim is just down a little bit further than normal, so it's well below the reds, I guess hitting about 6 on the signal there. Okay, so that's recording well, and then basically once I finish my recording, I simply hit record, I'll hit stop, and then I can hit stop on the decks, and to save it, you go File, Export Audio, and then you just save it wherever you want to save it. Now, once you've downloaded your mix, okay, you've recorded your mix, you've downloaded it, you're feeling good about it, the next step is how do you share it? Now, sure, you could send it as a file, but I would suggest either uploading it to SoundCloud or Mixcloud so they can stream it. And if you wanted to, you could even express your love for the person publicly on social media and link in the mix, use a picture of the person or perhaps a picture of both of you together, and just use that for the thumbnail pic, And this honestly would be an original way to not only express your love, but at the same time you create public attention around your mix. And because the mix was made in the name of love, right? You'll probably get a lot more traction and support on your mix than you usually do. See, a lot of people when they're posting mixes, they make it a lot about them. So if you make it about someone else, you'll probably get a better response. However, if this is not romantic enough and your partner has a taste for nostalgia, you could even copy the file onto a cassette tape and then give them an old Sony Walkman with headphones, cassette tape in it, right, with the mix on it. Much like what Star-Lord had in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I love that, right? And I'm from that era myself. So, yes, that goes 100% the extra mile and will involve having a tape deck that records that, you can connect to your computer. And in truth, I researched this for you, and I'll link in a video below about this as it's a video in itself. I don't know the person, I just researched and found someone online, but someone's already got a cool video on this. So if you wish to copy a digital file from your computer onto cassette, I'll link in the video below. It seems pretty straightforward, and honestly, this would be a pretty cool thing to do. And if you like, you could also post the digital version online. So they personally say, I love this quote actually, it's like, successful people never think either or, they do both. So give her a tape, give her a Walkman. It's a really great gesture. But either way, right, making something for someone you love always goes down better than buying something. So why not make an effort to share something you can both be passionate about? Now, trust me, making mixes with a person in mind is the ultimate gift, and not only helps build your own experience and gives you a purpose and an incentive, but it shows someone that you care about, that you're thinking about them. And in my opinion, there's no greater gift than this. Like, it really, know how they say that there's a thought that counts. It's a pretty big thought, especially if you make this set really cool and make it tell a story that relates to your love. Now combine that with a night out and some flowers and bingo, man, you're in. Now anyway, in this video, in truth, it was a little bit of a filler until I get my DDJ 400. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you found some inspiration in this. And to quote Anthony Robbins, actually, like, living is giving. And if we can find ways to give of ourselves, then good things are bound to happen. So see you next Monday, right, for my DDJ 400 set. I'm talking it up. Let's hope it delivers. But thanks again for your support, and please it helps me build the page and also makes me feel super good. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from you guys and my students. So anyway, thanks again. Cheers.